Shocking statement. Your auto-leveling headlights are lying to you. And after a 2.5-inch lift, you might be driving a glare cannon. Self-leveling only corrects within a limited window, and changing suspension geometry moves the beam's starting point. In the next minutes, I'll prove it with a simple flat surface wall check and then show the precise European-style adjustment to fix it. You'll see how to measure, mark, and re-aim so your cutoff hits where it should. Max visibility for you. Zero blindness for the people coming at you. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If sensors are so smart, why do glare complaints spike after small lifts? Because the system has a blind spot. It watches for squat, not a new static angle. Auto-leveling looks impressive on paper. Tiny potentiometers on the axle or control arm track how high or low the body sits. When you add cargo or hitch a trailer, the rear drops, the sensor voltage changes, and the headlight actuator tilts the projector down to keep the low beam from shooting into the sky. That's the job it was built for. Short, predictable movements to offset temporary load. Here's the miss. A 2.5-inch front lift doesn't mimic squat. It relocates the headlight's starting position. The auto-leveling motor only has a limited arc, so it tries to correct from wherever the factory set it, but the baseline is now wrong. Think of a bubble level and a flashlight. The system is the bubble. It keeps the bubble centered. Your lift is your hand moving the flashlight handle upward. The bubble can be dead centered and your light still points higher down the road because the hinge moved. On level ground, that difference hides in plain sight. A stock truck and the same truck with a 2.5-inch front spacer can show nearly identical sensor readings when the vehicle is sitting flat and unloaded. The rear isn't squatting, so the auto-leveler says, "All good." But step 20 car lengths out and look at the beam cutoff at distance, and you'll see the rise. The sharp step, the knee in many projectors, now lands further up the wall or higher on the tree line. You didn't add power. You changed geometry. This isn't guesswork. Factory auto-levelers are designed for load compensation, not permanent ride height changes. Many systems operate within a tight tilt range intended to keep low beams compliant during acceleration, braking, and cargo changes, and that range is not a free pass for suspension mods. Forum data backs up the inconsistency people see after a lift. Owners on Ranger6G.com report mixed results, but the caution is consistent. Lifting the whole front end changes where your headlights point, just the y-axis, obviously. Even after self-leveling, so you should absolutely recalibrate or re-aim them so as to not blind oncoming traffic. 1. Another user framed the analogy clearly. The auto level in our trucks is like that bubble level, and the suspension lift is like where we hold the flashlight. 1. Change the starting point and the system holds a wrong angle very steadily. Projectors don't get a free pass just because they have a crisp cutoff. A razor line aimed too high still spits glare miles down the lane. Reflectors are more forgiving in appearance, but can throw even more stray light when the aim drifts. And LEDs? A sharp LED pattern only makes the error more obvious to oncoming traffic. The more defined the cutoff, the more punishing a bad baseline becomes. That's why two trucks can look similar on a garage door but behave very differently at 300 feet. Quick mini story. An owner bolts in front leveling spacers, sees a self-leveling icon at startup, and assumes the truck has it handled. First night out, the flashes don't stop. He does a wall test the next day, marking the lens height and stepping back to measure the drop. The cutoff is visibly high. He dials it down a few turns and the nighttime flashing stops, while his own visibility actually improves because the beam now fills the road where it should. So the myth is dead. Self-leveling fixes load, not lift. If you changed ride height, you changed aim. Period. The fix isn't a dealer scan or a mystery recalibration. You can prove the error on your driveway and correct it with a tape measure and 2 adjusters, and the method European shops rely on is simple and repeatable. Most mechanics won't walk you through this, but it's how European shops verify aim after any height change. A measured wall test with a built-in safety margin. It's straightforward, it's repeatable, and it proves whether your beam is actually legal and safe at distance, not just looks fine in a driveway. Start by prepping the vehicle. Park on a truly flat surface. Set tire pressures to the door sticker spec. Fill the tank to about half. Load the cargo you normally carry. If you're doing this alone, simulate the driver by placing weight in the seat, roughly your body weight. Roll the vehicle back and forth a few feet and let it settle so the suspension isn't bound. If you have adjustable shocks or air springs, put them in their normal road setting. The goal is to match your real-world ride conditions so the aim you set matches the way you drive at night. Here's why this matters. A rushed aim can look perfect at 10 feet and still sit high at 300 feet. You need precision in the setup and conservative targets for the final angle. That way, you keep the beam on the road surface and off other drivers' retinas while still getting the reach you paid for. Step 1 is distance and marks. Park with the nose pointed straight at a vertical wall. 10 meters is the gold standard. If you don't have that space, 25 feet works. Measure and tape the vehicle center line on the wall. Then measure from the ground up to the center of each headlight lens and transfer those heights to the wall with short horizontal tick marks. Use a tape and a level so those marks are square and consistent. Step 2 is the European drop. From each lens height mark, put a long horizontal tape line that sits lower by 1% at 10 meters, about 10 centimeters down. If you're at 25 feet, use about 2 inches of drop. This is your conservative target. Some vehicles list exact values in the manual, so confirm if yours calls for a slightly different percentage. The small downward bias keeps glare in check while preserving usable distance light. Step 3 is the pattern. Turn on the low beams. Find the cutoff and the sharp step, sometimes called the knee, where the flat line rises. You want the bright core of each beam centered on the vertical tape you laid for each headlight and the step just below the horizontal drop line. Not on it, just below it. This gives you the ECE style margin that reduces stray light without making the road feel dim. Step 4 is adjustment. Locate your vertical and horizontal adjusters on the headlamp housing. They're often small hex or Phillips heads and may be labeled up, down, and left, right. Make small moves, an eighth turn at a time, and watch how the cutoff shifts relative to your lines. Expect a little interaction between low and high beams. Adjusting the low beam height can nudge where the high beams land. European practice favors that slight downward bias for a reason. It cuts glare while keeping the hot spot where your eyes need it. Many OEM specs reference that 1% drop, and it's a safe default when your manual doesn't give a number. Once your steps sit just under the line and the cores sit on the vertical marks, lock the adjusters.